Good morning. Welcome back to the pod. Matt Kim, Peter Saddington. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, brother.
Wow. A lot of stuff going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know where to start. I guess at the top.
It's one of those mornings,
What
guys.
of those mornings? This is our last episode in the studio.
I know. I'm like super excited to move into the next studio, Matt, and I just gave a tour, so I put that up on Twitter, but really going to miss this early substantiation of the Matt Kim podcast here.
Yeah, I mean, this studio was kind of a work of passion, something that we slowly built out over time. And I've really fallen in love with this place.
Yeah.
When people come in and I'm like, this is my world.
Well, this really is a labor of love.
Yes.
And you have a lot, there's a lot of you in, and which, by the way, for those who don't know, Matt, you've been in this office for years.
Yeah. I've
How
been
many?
here 5 years.
5 years. So, I mean, you've touched everything in this office. So this really is your place.
Yeah. For people that don't know, this podcast studio is in the corner of our main office. And this used to actually be my own private office.
That's right.
And then I gave up my office to turn it into a podcast studio.
Right.
Out of nowhere. Just one of those days.
And so much has transpired over 5 years. I mean, we used to have exotic cars parked in the back all the time, Lambos, Ferraris, Porsches, all sorts of stuff. It's been amazing to see the transformation over the last 5.
Yeah. And to say goodbye to this place is nostalgic, a little bit of sadness, excitement for what's to come. But saying goodbye it's not easy.
It's not easy. And actually, just that brings up a couple questions in my mind, just how I work, Matt. But share for the audience, what's one of your most favorite memories that you're going to think back on this office that's transpired over the last 5 years? What's one of your favorite memories that you could share with the audience here?
I feel like in 5 years of spending so much time here, 40, 50, 60 hours a week in this space, there's just unlimited memories. I think I really enjoyed it when we were doing the cars hanging out here.
That's exactly. I thought you were gonna bring that up, bro. Like there are moments I can. It's like yesterday. I can remember us all hanging out in the back area, the unfinished area, huge space. We got all sorts of cars back there. Bunch of guys just getting ready for a rally. There was a lot of positive and fun energy in the room.
Yeah, using this as the launch location for the
Yes.
rallies, for the drives. Having all the car guys hang out here and then kind of going on our journey together. I think I'm going to remember that.
So we can bring that back in a different version, right, for the next office. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been playing with cars as much. And I think that's why I fell apart, because I stopped playing with cars. I love cars. It's one of the things I love the most. But we all got to make a sacrifice somewhere. And this project, this podcast has become my new passion project.
Yes.
And therefore, I got a daughter at home. I can't have 100 passion projects.
That's true. That's true. So you have someone coming in that is going to be an amazing future tenant for this place, right?
Correct.
And we're moving not too far, just across town, yeah?
Yeah, we're moving not too far away. We're moving into a much smaller space. It's basically going to be just the studio now. And the new studio, I'm so excited.
Dude, this guy showed me some pictures of the new studio being built out, and that's actually a crucial word. It's being built out. We have. I'm not gonna spill any of the beans here, but there's gonna be really cool. Let's just say entryways. It's just the lighting is so unique. I've never seen anything like it. So for me, who've been in the podcast world, listened to hundreds of different podcasts, seen all their different studios, it's really cool to be moving into a studio that really is all our own.
Yeah, I mean, every podcast studio I've seen online or as I consume content, they either have the man cave look, which is kind of popular. They have the living room look, which is popular, or they have the news kind of anchor setup. And they all seem kind of manufactured. Either they're so ghetto or they're so perfect, in which case it looks like a TV set.
Yeah, it's almost this it's almost two ends of the spectrum. It's either really homey with lots of knickknacks and stuff in the background. It's super busy, right? Or it's overly clinical, where it's almost
Correct.
too sterile and it lacks kind of that homey and kind of connection feel.
And the new studio will be something I've never seen online.
Never. It's
I don't think there's any podcast studio that's doing what we're trying to do.
exciting.
And it's definitely be the coolest podcast studio, at least in Atlanta. I don't know. Maybe to say the world is a reach.
So, but you, I think you could, I think you could say, and kind of manifesting the future here, is the Matt Kim podcast location in the future. If you are someone who is coming to Atlanta and you're into the media space, like Matt, the new Matt Kim Studios, it's let's just say it should be a destination location, wouldn't you say?
You are definitely going to want to check it out because it's going to be not just a cool studio, but it's going to be an experience.
And we got Yojas.
And it's going to be reactions. It's going to be just a completely different world and environment that you're going to feel like you're stepping into a different world.
I see Will laughing back there.
A lot of interesting things going on. Lots of big changes to the channel, to the podcast, adding new pieces of content, new different avenues that we're going to take also. So we're going to continue the podcast, do some other things, add a live streaming portion, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. We have, without saying too much, we have different guests that are going to add a lot of color to what we're doing. So if you're not subscribed and you're not following what's going on, you need to be, because this is just the beginning. It's going to be so epic, and you're going to tell your friends one day, I was there at the beginning, because it's going to be that moment.
Bro, like, I think you guys out there in the audience can kind of tell the energy that Matt and I have. We're really excited about this new change. And I just want to just back up and take two moments. First, number one, I think it's really important that we appreciate how far we've come.
Yes.
Right, in just a short amount of period. But number two, here's the question. The question is, did you ever think, like starting this, that this was kind of where it would evolve to?
Not, and I feel like I've said this so many times, and it's such a cliche thing to say, not in a million years. And before we go too far, I want to appreciate Mike, who helps build all of it. Big Mike is in our Discord. He works with me, does all of our lighting installations, very good with his hands, helped build this studio, and is working overtime nights. We were there till 1:30, 2 a.m. last night, working on the new studio. We're not contracting any of it out to any other people. I don't think we could hire someone to do what we want to do. So we just have to do it ourselves. And Mike is fantastic. He's been so creative, coming up with these great ideas. We're building a 200 square foot sound panel, if anyone's even understand what that means. You know, like everything is made by hand, by scratch.
Yeah.
So
It's
Mike,
going to be like a Faraday cage. You know, it's just going to be so well insulated that you're going to be able to hear a pin drop.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, what we got to do is after this is done, let's just throw on all the lights and watch the new Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
With like lasers everywhere. It'd be so sick. Smoke machines.
Speaking of lasers, there's a high chance that there's going to be lasers in this.
Lasers, smoke machines, all kinds of lights, and also at the same time, just darkness. I don't know how to describe it. You have to stay subscribed. You have to follow the journey, because when we reveal this thing, it's going to be just the coolest thing ever. And I don't want to overhype it, but I'm so excited.
Well, I understand that comment. Like, I don't want to overhype it, but at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of people out there who have never built anything and have never gone off on their own, built a business or done something kind of against the grain. And it's not that we're cheapening anything that you just said, but at the same time, like, this really is a labor of love.
Yes.
It's coming from the heart. And I believe, if I can take a tangent for just a second, I believe all men were created to create.
Yes.
If we were to look at the model of the creator, that creator created us when we were built likewise in the same vein to create. And so I always encourage all men that you were built to build, you were built to create. And so go do that. And I think what hopefully the audience is kind of seeing here is that we're excited about this new creation that's coming out from, frankly, nowhere. It's
Literally
coming out
nothing.
This is coming out of your heart, coming out of your soul, coming out of your spirit. It's a passion project. You never thought you'd get this far, or not. That's not the right way of saying.
Never thought we'd get this far at this rate.
Pete, yeah,
this
fair
piece
enough.
in time.
Fair enough. And we never thought it would evolve to something like this, where we have so many options, so many opportunities inbound. We got partnerships lined up. We got people that are knocking on our door. So it's just such an exciting time. Now, who knows where it's going to go?
No clue.
No
but
idea.
that's the part I love. I love the build process. I love the growth process. I'm not as a big a fan of operations and management.
Right.
I don't
once it's going, you're just
I don't like status quo. But the initial part where we get to build and there's excitement, I love this part. And
even though it's a lot of
now.
hard work.
Hard work doesn't bother me one bit. I love this part. And I'm so excited where we are. And this new studio is going to be, epic is the word.
So we're dropping little nuggets in Discord. So for everyone out there, if you haven't joined the Discord, you haven't subscribed to Matt Kim podcast, check out the Twitters, check out the Instagrams. Obviously, you can check out links below to check out Discord and see what we're doing. But we can't wait to announce it to you guys.
Yes. And one final announcement before we get into the episode. This is like the longest intro announcement section we've ever
But
done.
it is our last podcast in the studio. So
That's
we're
true.
doing the right diligence here. We're giving love to where love should be.
We're going to make some t-shirts.
Nope. You guys see the t-shirt?
If you guys are listening, maybe this is a time to look up.
Looks good. Good print, quality stuff.
I think they look kind of cool. I think it'll be fun. When we started making the content and people were like, yeah, I believe what you believe, but I feel like I'm the only one. And I thought if we had a cool t-shirt, then it's a way for people to connect. Maybe your neighbors listening and thinking the same thing as you. It's a great conversation starter. So we have a t-shirt. It's black. It says Free Thinker on it. I think it's a lot of fun. And yeah,
Is there anything on the back? No.
not really. It's just basically very clean, very
Perfect.
simple.
And it's not aggressive. Like Free Thinker is not an aggressive. It hasn't been canceled yet. Let's
Correct.
put it that way.
Correct. And so if you're interested in that, no idea when we're going to roll it out, but we're working on it. So definitely go sign up for the mailing list. The mailing list will have the announcements first.
Can you imagine a day when the mainstream media starts trying to cancel hashtag Free Thinker?
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
And what makes it grand is in my imagery of thinking about this is they're trying to cancel you.
Yeah.
Kind of doesn't that mean that you've kind of made it?
I mean, you
Right?
haven't made it. You haven't tried hard enough if you haven't been canceled.
Right.
So the fact that cancellations are coming, if anything, it's a badge of honor.
We'll take it.
Yeah. So I love it. Cancel me. Amazing.
Hashtag Free Thinker, guys.
Exactly. So a lot of stuff in the news this week that I want to touch on, especially talking about Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and their nefariousness of what's going on. A lot of information is starting to leak out. And it's extremely interesting.
Very interesting. And we're here just to poke and prod and ask the questions, man.
Exactly. And every time I hear this story or I start thinking about the story, all I can always think about is, what if their last name was Trump? What kind of coverage would it get versus the coverage it gets now? So keeping that in mind, we'll do a quick rundown of what are the known facts. When Joe Biden was vice president, Hunter Biden sat on the board of an energy company called Burisma. His friend, who is named Devon Archer, and Devon Archer is in the news recently, Devon Archer sat on the board with Hunter. There was a prosecutor in Ukraine that was investigating this company called Burisma. There is a video of Joe Biden bragging about how he got rid of the prosecutor that so happened to be investigating Burisma.
Yep.
Devon Archer has gone on the record in the congressional hearings yesterday saying that at least 20 occasions they got Joe Biden on the phone with their Ukrainian partners. Now the Joe Biden camp is saying, I was talking to my son, just saying hi. And they never spoke business. But if you look at the chain of events, it's precarious.
Well, there is also evidence that they have shared bank accounts.
Correct.
Right. And so it is hard. It is a hard stretch, I think, for many people to say, if you how can you have shared bank accounts but you don't do business together? You're a businessman. I'm a businessman. I was just going through text messages with some people setting up bank accounts right now. They're asking for my license, my social security number. I need to go physically and sign. Like, there are physical things that you need to do to open up a joint bank account. And if I were to take a stretch, maybe, Matt, you would only put together a shared bank account with me if there was the sole purpose of that you and I would do business together.
Exactly.
And so how can the bank account be created without us communicating about it? That is the question.
And the numbers that they throw around are in the millions.
Tens of millions.
And I almost ignore those numbers because those are just transactions that we know of.
Yeah.
That's not including possible Bitcoin wallets that probably just transferred hands.
Right.
There's no transaction history if I just give you my keys.
Yeah, especially if you use Monero, then you can't trace it.
So there are a lot of ways where you can transfer. I don't have to transfer my money to you. I can just give you a wallet.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, now you own the wallet.
Yeah, you just give me the keys to your wallet, and then suddenly I have access to it.
So if they're like, well, we filed records of $5 million or $7 million, I'm like, that's the tip of the iceberg. That is the minimum that they had to put in cash because that's what they wanted to spend. The real wealth is transferred through offshore accounts and trusts and shell companies, and those don't ever get tracked.
Yeah, and a lot of them fly under the radar because they're part of business expenses, business costs, or operational costs, especially if you set up a multi-legal entity that's cross-border, number one, but number two has multiple owners.
I would say if they say the number is $7 million, I don't know the exact number. $7 million.
The numbers are almost there to confuse us.
Correct. It's to make it seem small. And then they'll say, oh, Jared Kushner received $2 billion from the Saudis. That's the biggest point. And number one, the Saudi investment fund is huge. They invest in everything.
Yes. And
the entire $2 billion is public. $7 million by an energy company in Ukraine that no one's ever heard of, or $2 million coming from a Chinese company that no one's ever heard of. It's not the same level. There's one that's transparent, one that's extremely shady and gray.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
Correct.
Absolutely.
The Saudi investment fund invests in Starbucks. They invest in Nike. They invest in Live Nation. They invest in the PGA Tour and golf. They throw around billions to people.
And Matt, I'll raise my hand and say that I have actually, as a venture capitalist, I have sought out Saudi money.
Yes.
Because their pockets are so deep.
And they are very good with how they spend their money.
Oh.
And they are transparent with how they spend their money.
Absolutely.
It's not the same as some shady energy company that no one's ever heard of giving backdoor transactions.
Yeah. So let's put this all together and let's remove the inflammatory language. We have a company with someone who works for the company. There is potentially some shady business going on. We have Joe Biden and his son who are somewhat involved with this business, and Joe Biden and his son are transacting with this business, and this business could be seen as potentially a threat to national security at some level, right? Because they're maybe selling access, selling information. So that really is the bottom line. Like, we remove all the inflammatory language of $10 million, Burisma. We have essentially a triangle of people: Joe Biden, his son, and the people who work for this business, and they're all entangled. I think at the end of the day, we can all rest easy and say they all have worked together at some level, period, full stop. The implications of that is the question, right?
Correct.
What does it mean?
Yeah. And how illegal is it? But for them to say there is no connection is absolutely bullshit. Any news organization or media that says, oh, you guys are looking, this is GOP conspiracy theory, you guys are full of shit, because there's obviously connection, and to deny the connection at all shows how propagandist you are.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things that I thought about, Matt, when I heard this is Bill Gates having multiple pictures with Jeffrey Epstein.
No connection.
No, that's the point. That's the point. All right, Bill Gates will be like, "Well, I just had lunch with them," or we just
Yeah, 4 times a week.
we just hung out 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Meant nothing. We were just talking about the Barbie movie.
Yeah,
that was
at
coming
3
out.
a.m.
Exactly. Ordering $50,000 worth of pizza, Obama, right?
Yeah.
These types of things. I mean, and so that is kind of the clown world that we live in, where the Democratic Party, they're not giving us anything to work with. They're saying it was nothing. You can't go that route anymore, I don't think.
I mean, they could at least be like, all right, some things are the way they are, but we can explain. At least attempt to explain the situation instead of nothing to see here. You guys are fucking conspiracy theorists. How many times have we been called conspiracy theorists just to find out that the conspiracy theorists were right?
I almost feel like we need to translate in today's world, Matt, that conspiracy theorist actually equals, it's so bloody obvious, bro. You should just just look at the details. Instead of calling someone a conspiracy theorist, you should just say it's obvious. I mean, with these people walk around with immunity doing these types of things. It's almost like they're proud of it these days. Like they can get away with it and they're proud of it.
And someone said, we're not conspiracy theorists. We're spoiler alertists.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that.
Spoiler alert. Here's because if you think about it, I'm sure there are internet Netsians who've done the research, and I think I've seen lists of like this before, where it's like Alex Jones. Here's like the top 40 things that he's created conspiracy about decades ago, and I think he's like, I'm making this up, 35 out of 40 of them have come true. Or
Yeah,
some shit
like they're turning the frogs gay.
And apparently they're turning all of us gay too.
Apparently, it's all true. Maybe you.
So let's get down to brass tacks. You're a businessman. I'm a businessman. If I look at this from just a business perspective, I can understand and see the vantage point where you and I would be able to say, as businessmen, just in that context, you can do business with whoever you want. What's the big deal?
Yep.
So what's the big deal, Matt?
So if I was Hunter Biden and I'm trying to get all these big deals with all these companies and they're offering me money, what would I do? They said, okay, prove to me that you really have access to your dad. Maybe you're kind of dumb, you're kind of stupid, like we don't believe you, you're a crackhead. Like maybe he doesn't pick up your phone call. So what do I do? I'll call my dad, get him on speakerphone. It's like the ultimate flex.
It
right?
is the ultimate flex.
I have power. Look, I call him and he picks up.
Mm-hmm.
When you're the dad, you're like, okay, you know what your son is doing. To say that you don't understand why he's randomly calling you, like, oh, he just called to say hi, that's full of shit. That doesn't make any sense at all. You know exactly what's going on. And you got the heads up. Hey, I want to call you. I need you to say hi. This is who I'm meeting with, right? And like, you need to do your thing. Of course, Joe Biden is not going to say, oh yeah, so let's talk numbers. Like, he's not going to do it. He's a smart guy. Smart guy. If you're not listening and you don't see, I'm doing air exclamation points. Smart guy.
Air quotes.
Air quotes. Smart guy. So they know.
Yeah. I mean, let's move to the future. I have kids, you have kids, right? Like if your son or daughter came to you, they're a successful businessman. I don't know if we can call Hunter Biden a successful businessman. Apparently he's essentially done a whole bunch of nothing his entire life, but that's a moot point. If your son or daughter came to you, let's say they're 29 years old, they got a new business dealing, and you were the crux of their ability to be able to close that deal. And your son, 29 years old, came to you, Matt, and said, "Hey, Dad, you're in construction. I'm doing this construction deal. They just want to see that you're supporting me as my son." You'd get on that phone.
Of course.
You'd get on that phone, and I guarantee you'd probably say a whole bunch of nothing, right? You just say, "Hey, guys, what's up? I know my son's got this covered. He's going to do a great job for you guys. Just let me know how I can help." It's essentially all you'd say, right?
Yep.
And then you let your son roll the game, and your son, in 5 weeks when they close the deal and they sign the contract, so say, thanks, Pops. Thanks for showing up, right? So that's essentially the argument that they're trying to set out, right?
Well, if that was their argument, then I can almost a little bit understand. They're all shady.
Oh,
They're all doing great things.
and they're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars
Correct.
of deals. Right?
So if that was what was going on, it's not right. I can almost kind of understand it.
I can fully understand it.
For them to say, Joe Biden and his son Hunter has never talked business before, so therefore this whole premise is false. Is absolutely just lying blatantly to
It's
your
garbage.
face.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's what pisses me off because let's accept it as it is. We give Trump a lot of shit for things that are gray. And anytime anyone has any idea of anything gray that Trump does, it is front page headline news for a month straight. Orange man bad, orange man bad, orange man bad, fraud, 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 Trump University bad, Trump University bad, nonstop. When it's Biden, everyone's like, oh, it never happened.
Yeah.
Nothing to see here. You guys are crazy. Stop poking around. What are you guys? You guys hate America or something?
Exactly.
It's like, are you serious?
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is it's like you almost wonder how can they be so blatant, but we've seen the pattern over the last 6 years. We're starting with Obama, right? I mean, the mainstream media was so complicit, so aligned to Obama and to Biden that it's almost expected that they would say something like this. So they're not even surprising us anymore by saying, no, it was a nothing burger. Nothing happened. He just got on the phone and said hi. And so what are we to do with this? Are we at this level, Matt, where the laws truly no longer apply?
I think we're at a place now where we all need to understand that the politicians that we trust, I'm doing air quotes again, trust, are a little bit shady or a lot shady, that they do things that we don't agree with, like insider trading, like...
You want to get rich, follow Pelosi tracker.
Correct. That they do all this stuff. But at the end of the day, we still need them to talk about issues. Maybe we just stop going after both of them and let the real issues that really matter to us as Americans, as human beings, let's start talking about that.
Well, okay. Let's get down to I said this earlier, but let's get down to brass tacks. What's the problem with Hunter Biden talking with his dad with this company? Like, what is the issue? Are they selling secrets? Are they selling technology? Are they selling influence? Like, are they peddling notoriety, power? What is the issue here?
Well, the issue is that he is using his father's reputation, and his father is using the power of the U.S. government and United States as a country to influence private matters and businesses in other countries.
So they're using public funds, the public influence, public power for personal gain.
And if they are doing this, and this story originates in Ukraine, and all of a sudden we're in this war giving billions of dollars to Ukraine.
Oh, man.
Even if there is no connection, how can you not say there's dots? And to tell us that there's no connection, it's like, I mean, Ukraine, everything's through Ukraine. And also, the first Trump impeachment or the second Trump impeachment was about him and his phone call with Ukraine. So why are we so intertangled? Ukraine, which is a small country that's not a huge gold player. And if you're Ukrainian, I'm sorry, but it's just what it is. And not only is all of our money going to Ukraine, all of our politics are going to Ukraine, all the shady business dealings seem to go to Ukraine. And why? No one wants to ask why. It's just, it is what it is.
And so, Matt, you should just shut up and accept it then.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see.
For freedom. For freedom. You know?
Well, it has been well noted, well documented that Ukraine is several things. One of the most corrupt governments on the planet, number one. Number two, they have some of the worst human rights abuses with human trafficking and drugs. And number three, it is well documented that billions and billions of dollars have been dumped in there, and we don't even know where it is.
No clue.
We don't know where this money is.
And while Biden was vice president, one of the countries he was responsible for, and they were a part of the regime change for it to put Zelensky in power, was Ukraine. So why is everything tied to Ukraine and Biden? And everyone's like, nothing to see here, nothing going on. There's just too many. There's just too many arrows.
There's too many breadcrumbs for
Yes.
sure. Let me put on a tinfoil hat for a second.
Hold on. Can we make it official? There you go.
Tin hat is now on. I think Biden is so compromised. I think that's the key word. I think Biden and his family is so compromised, like a Epstein being compromised. Like, we have dirt on you. I mean, Hunter Biden's made it so easy because he's got tens of thousands of pictures of him being compromised in 19 million different ways. But I think Joe Biden and his family is such a compromised family that they are literally puppets to the entirety of the global political system, from politicians and big business, government, private institutions, big private institutions, big companies, industries in America, and all of that abroad as well. I think they're so compromised that they can only say yes, because the moment they say no, then even more dirt's going to come out. And I think, here's my tinfoil hat. I think the pressure, the light pressure that is being revealed around Joe Biden's son, Hunter, I think is a way of adding pressure to Joe Biden, saying, look, Joe, we're not going to come after you just yet, but let it be known. See how we are covering for your son here. The bullets are flying. We're covering for your son. It's a nothing burger. Your son didn't do nothing wrong. All those 20,000, 30, 40,000 pictures of him smoking crack and having sex with underage girls, fake news. But if we didn't provide the shield, your son would be destroyed. And likewise, Joe, stay in line. If you don't stay in line, we will remove the shield of protection. I feel like that is kind of the underpinnings of all of this, is that family is so bloody compromised that they can only go where the wind takes them. What do you think?
I think I'm taking my tin hat off.
Okay. You threw it off.
Threw it off.
Fuck this shit.
I think that Joe Biden and his administration will go down in history as the most corrupt administration in the history of the country.
Oof. I could see that, man.
I do not think history will remember them favorably. I think all the things going on with the laptop and his daughter's diary and all these crazy pictures,
there's so many smoking
everything
guns,
going
dude.
on, and all these connections of, wait a second, he was in charge of Ukraine, and now we're in war with Ukraine, and we gave them billions, but then they received money from the Ukrainian energy company. All of that, once you take a step back and it goes on paper and remembered by history, historians will be like, these guys were fucking corrupt. They're going to be remembered as such.
Oh yeah.
They're going to be the most corrupt in our lifetime, for sure. I mean, and maybe it will take 10, 15, 20, 30 years to get there. But when history looks back at this moment in time, they're going to be like, I can't believe we got rid of this guy, Orange Man, for this.
You really believe this, Matt?
Yes, 100%.
So let me challenge you here. I feel like, as we have uncovered over the years, Barack Obama, like, he spent 8 years in office plus another 2.5 so far, right, with Biden, because Biden is just Obama's sock puppet. Like, couldn't it be said that Obama is one of the most corrupt politicians and presidents that we've ever had?
Because Obama will always have the moniker of the first African-American president.
Oh, and
that will always be a part of the headline for him.
So you think Obama? You think
Breakthrough.
history will treat Obama well?
Yes, I do.
I believe that too, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with what he's done. I think what he's done just many shady things. I loved it when Tucker talked about his questionable sexual preferences. I was watching that.
We were
clip.
talking about Big Mike earlier.
Yeah, I was watching Tucker talking about Obama one day on Twitter, and he said something about Barack Obama's questionable sexuality, and I stopped and I was like, did he just call Obama gay? I can't believe he just did that.
That's what Tucker needs to be like. I'm not going to kill myself, right? Like Joan Rivers.
I can't believe that just happened.
You know about the Joan Rivers thing, right? Yeah, I saw that too. I was just like, damn, bro, you are like, Tucker's fully unleashed.
Yes.
Fully unleashed.
Yeah. He don't care at all. And I think it's amazing.
I love it.
But yeah, I think Obama, through history, because he did 8 years, that always has a little plus. He was president at a time where the internet was growing. There's so many positive pictures of him playing basketball and hanging out with the people. Like, he played the role of politician extremely well.
He did.
You may not agree with his policies, but as far as playing the role of president, he did a really good job.
Fair enough.
So I don't think history will think unfavorably of him. Joe Biden has horrible policies and does not play the role of president well. Everything is a cover up for him. And 10 years later, all we're going to see is him falling, stumbling over his words, not being coherent in his statements. That's what history remembers, not the sentiment.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not going to agree. I'm not going to agree with you here. I feel like we live in a world where, and we've talked about this before, but we live in a world where history is constantly being rewritten. I mean, we're seeing it before our very eyes, articles being rewritten and changed, and history being changed through Wikipedia and other various news creators. And I feel like they're going to cover for Biden so well, like they're covering for him now, that history is going to look back at Biden and they're going to spout the same shit that we've seen in the news, which is Biden has created the most jobs in human history in America, which is basically a fancy way of saying I locked down the country for 2 years and now people are going back to work and I'm taking credit for it. These types of things.
And people are getting a second job, third job. People in retirement are coming out of retirement to work because the economy sucks.
I feel like I would disagree with you wholeheartedly and say that I feel like history is going to look back at Biden because the writers of history are generally liberal cucks, who want to make sure that their side is always propagated. I feel like they're gonna treat Biden the same as Obama. I feel like they're going to write history where Biden was truly one of the greatest things that ever happened to man.
I think in time, all people remember are clips and videos of what they can see. And you can't delete the internet.
Yeah. But there's a huge cross section of America, Matt, and we've talked about this as well, that literally will never see those clips.
Yeah.
Can I give you an example real quick? Did you see the comedian on Joe Rogan recently? When Joe Rogan was ripping into this comedian, I forget his name because he's someone I don't follow, but he was going over like the January 6th and the COVID stuff with him, and this liberal comedian on the other side of Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan did such a good job decomposing this guy. He kept saying all the mainstream media quips and all the mainstream media lines, and Joe Rogan was just slowly just unpacking him and just saying, you're wrong there. That doesn't make sense. Think about this. And so this example of this liberal comedian on Joe Rogan, truly, my mind was blown. This comedian who's out in the public space literally does not know anything that's going on. He's only repeating the lines that you see on the mainstream media. And it was one of the starkest contrasts of Joe Rogan, who's clearly talking, listening, hearing stuff come in, decomposing and breaking this guy down. And you could see the sheepish look on this comedian's face as he was corrected and being corrected and being corrected. I just feel like there's a whole swath of the American populace that literally has never seen anything that you're talking about.
I mean, if we were to make a supercut of Barack Obama's greatest moments, you can make one.
Yeah.
Try to make a supercut of Joe Biden's greatest moments.
You're going to be digging into the archives.
It doesn't exist, which is what I'm saying. You can't even make him look good.
But here's the thing.
But try to make a supercut of his fails, and that will be a 10-series documentary.
Oh, yeah. The fails are easy to collect. Here's my point, is that there's a swath of America who will never see the supercut.
I think
they live in a different matrix,
I think because he's president now and there's a narrative and movement to protect him, it's hidden from them. Give it 5 years, 10 years, and even if you're liberal media and you want free clicks and views, you're going to start bringing that stuff back up.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that history will not remember Joe Biden favorably.
So let's get back to this whole Burisma thing. Where do you think this is going to land? Is this going to end up being one of those distractions that goes on for 6-9 months and then becomes a nothing burger? They get away with it, whatever. Is that how this is going to end? Is this just going to be another nothing burger?
Big, fat nothing burger. Yeah. The GOP may even use this to try to go through an impeachment. Impeachments mean nothing. It's just basically like a slap on the wrist. You don't get removed from office. Nothing actually happens, right? It's just that you get impeached. I mean, shit. Trump was impeached twice. It means nothing.
That's true.
Bill Clinton was impeached.
So you have to wonder, what are they distracting us from? Is this the distraction, or is this just what the news cycle is. This is the only thing that can grab likes and hits and eyeballs right now.
It's summertime. They're trying to say, we're talking about this, and they're talking about UFOs, and they're talking about Trump and his thing.
We need to do a whole episode on UFOs.
Yes.
I feel like I have like 5,000 questions for you. Like, I kind of just want to ask them right now. What do you think about this UFO stuff? Do you think it's bullshit? Do you think that, well, let's start at the basic. Do you believe UFOs exist?
I believe they could exist. I have yet to see actual proof of them exist. My problem with UFOs, and I don't want to go in too deep today, but we'll talk real quickly.
Okay.
My
I won't
problem
ask
with
you any
all
more
the whistleblowers of UFOs, they're all third parties. If there was this huge government cover-up of UFOs, meaning tens of thousands of people were involved, how come the only whistleblowers we have are people telling their anecdotal stories? No one actually there.
Well, with any type of high security, there's so much compartmentalization.
Correct.
Right.
But not one of them had a kill switch and like, hey, here's what I saw. And if I die, which a lot of them are dead, I'm going to release it. Not one person in all of history is there. Every UFO story I've ever heard is a third party.
I'm with you.
And they seem extremely credible, and you want to believe them because I believe in the ideas of it, especially when I think of things like the pyramids and ancient Europe, and talking about the Mayans and how they're all connected and how they're so similar, and how can you build these structures over 1,000 years without writing it down? Like, where are the instructions to the pyramids? If it took 1,000 years to build, somebody somewhere wrote directions and say, this is exactly it. Someone did the math and wrote it down and said, this is
They
exactly
have the directions. It's just hanging out in Rome. It's hanging out in the what is it?
and it's written in
Church.
alien.
I to your point, the thing that I've always wanted, and actually this first time I've ever said this publicly, so I'm actually glad that I get to say it publicly on Matt Kin's podcast, but I want to meet the guy who drove the daggone UFO. How come we've never met those guys? It's just like you say, it's always guys who met a guy who was there.
Yeah.
Or
heard
met a guy.
story, or I was in the auxiliary of it.
Yeah. See, if these things are piloted, which we're assuming they're piloted, when are we going to have the guy who says, I flew the bloody thing? Like, when are those guys going to come out? It's always a guy who met a guy who had a story about a guy who was there.
Correct.
Right?
No firsthand reports.
There are pilots in these things, apparently. If there's pilots, when are the pilots going to come out and be like, bro, here's how the stick works. Here's how the acceleration works. Like, I want those guys to come out. Because until those guys come out, we just have flying discs in the air.
It's always like a third-party contractor that was there for maybe 3 months out of 10 years that they were working on something. It's always someone that was kind of there, but not actually a part of it. And maybe, there's probably all kinds of non-disclosures you have to sign. But let's be real. Eventually, those break. To say not every single person that was ever involved in any sort of alien technology for the government, every single one of them has adhered fully to their non-disclosure for their entire life is just crazy. It's statistically impossible. At least one would have broke.
Yeah, there has to be one guy out there.
Or every time someone breaks, they die.
You're not wrong. They could be end up Epstein, I guess.
Exactly.
Right?
So I don't know, but I believe that it's possible. I think there's unlimited evidence in the history of the world to show that it's possible. But I don't think there's ever been any concrete proof. A lot of theories that make a lot of sense to me. And we can spend a whole day talking about all the theories.
Yeah.
But actual proof and evidence of it has never existed.
I think the pattern is pretty clear to me. And the pattern that I see, Matt, is that throughout history, the government always comes out with, here's a big UFO thing. And then it ends up becoming nothing burger. 10 years later, new UFO thing. Then it's like, there's no follow-up.
Yep.
Then here's a UFO thing. No follow-up. I mean, that's the pattern of our government is they like to leak this stuff. And the pattern is they leak it. Everyone gets up in arms. Oh, it's amazing. The aliens are coming. Project Bluebeam. Look that up. Right? Then nothing comes of it. And so the pattern to me seems like whenever they want to distract the public, UFO is like last ditch effort. Like shit, none of this is working. Britney Spears, the Britney Spears doing her dances on TikTok is not getting viral enough. Not enough people are watching her like lose her shit and wreck her train. Okay, so Britney Spears not working out. UFOs, like let's do that.
And always in the summer when there's no sports going on.
Yeah,
Because sports is a distraction itself.
Yeah.
Hey, there's football on, there's basketball, there's something going on. Like that takes a lot of people's attention away.
Oh yeah.
Look at the gladiators. But then all of a sudden, summertime, there's not much going on the news cycle. Hey, look, UFOs.
Honestly, I felt like the UFO thing was a distraction from the Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
That's what I really thought.
They don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, they don't want to talk about it.
Or is the distraction from, can we talk about Obama's chef showing up dead?
Oh,
How crazy is this story?
There seems to be a pattern of, okay, so let's just, you want to break it down the story?
Go ahead. Break down the story.
I don't know all the details, but here's what I do know. And we'll start, it's an interesting tangential way to getting into this topic. If you are a chef, you are a part of the operational backbone of a large organization, and you are consistently there. You see the patterns of humans. As a chef, guess what you get to see? The eating habits and social habits of the organization.
From morning till 3 a.m.
No doubt. So you're the chef, you're the top guy, you got management of 50 people under you. You know the schedules. You know when people are coming. Why? Because every time a important delegate, an important ambassador, important individual, VIP comes in, guess what you're doing? You're making the custom food for that lunch. You're making the brunch. You're making the dinner. You're maybe even doing the after dinner snacks and drinks.
If you have a crazy sex party and you're feeling a little parched, maybe your private chef would be the guy that makes your cocktails.
Not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, if you have a private chef who's on salary, who's on site, who knows your eating habits, knows your dietary needs, knows which pills you... I mean, guys, don't be naive here. If you are someone like a chef who works for a large organization and you've been there for years, you see the patterns of people. And here's where I'm dropping into the point. You will often see anti-patterns. You'll see things that are odd. You'll say, you know what?
Extra appendages?
I wasn't going there just yet. But let's be honest. There is a schedule to your life. You know when things are happening. And that one time, I was telling my wife this, that one time that you get a custom order from your boss and 1:30 at night, you ain't going to say no.
Of course not.
You're going to go right to the kitchen and you're going to start making that souffle that he asked for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you saw a car parked in the parking lot that you've never seen before. And so here's the point I'm trying to make. If you are a consistent entity in an organization, you see patterns. And sometimes you see shit that's a little odd. And sometimes when you see shit that's odd, sometimes that shit is stuff that you shouldn't see. And so that's where I'm going with this whole story. I think this chef saw things like extra appendages.
Okay, can we just do the tin hat thing? The tin hat thing?
We're putting on the
We're
tin
putting the
hat.
tin hat
There you
thing,
go.
okay.
Where's the Illuminati song? You need to have that. Boo, 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 boo. That's
Maybe
an X-Files song.
Maybe it's not that he saw something. Maybe he was a part of something.
Well,
Like a love triangle of some sort.
I've never thought about love
Because-
triangles.
Okay, if I got this crazy conspiracy hat, tin hat, whatever. You people on YouTube, like making sure we don't say crazy shit. Got my hat on. I'm allowed to say it now. If you're in a love triangle, okay, the way that the chef died, he had apparently some sort of blunt force trauma to the head. He fell in 4-foot water. He was a phenomenal swimmer. And they discovered him 15 hours, although there was eyewitnesses that apparently saw him die. None of it makes sense.
None of it makes sense.
This is super sloppy. If you were people of power and you wanted someone to disappear, you have them disappear when you're not home.
Of course.
Because you have money, you have power. You don't do it in this sloppy fashion if it was organized and planned. The sloppiness of this act shows that potentially it was a crime of passion. Right?
Are you insinuating that the chef was part of the love triangle?
Exactly.
I thought you were saying that the chef saw a love triangle.
No. If you
Wait.
the sloppiest murders in all of the world is when a husband or wife or a spouse overreacts, and the crime of passion is always the sloppiest. That's why when there's a murder at home, you always assume it's the spouse,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because those are the sloppy ones.
Yeah.
If it
There's
was
no thinking involved.
if it
Here.
was, oh, this guy's gonna write a book, which apparently he was gonna. If like, we need to get rid of this guy because he's gonna write a book and he's gonna give all our secrets. You don't do it in this sloppy way.
Yeah.
You're away from home.
Yeah, you're calculating.
You wait till this guy's on vacation, and then all of a sudden he gets eaten by a shark, something like this, right? It's planned. It's organized.
He gets eaten by a shark.
It's cleaner. You don't do it when the culprit 1 and culprit Mr. 2 are home. It doesn't make any sense. The only way that something like that happens is if it's something extremely nefarious from passion.
That's a good point.
But again, you fact checkers, I got my hat on, so don't give me shit.
Well, we do have one very salient and I think really important fact is that we have the call log of the police or the security there, and this is due process. Whenever you get a call, 911, you write down what it was all about. Dog got off the leash, cat went up a tree, right? No big deal, false alarm, carjacker. And then you go down, you see this document, and you see all the call logs. And then suddenly, the one where a guy dies
in Martha's Vineyard,
in
which
Martha's
there's not a
Vineyard,
lot of death.
which, let's be honest, is the rich of the rich, the elite of the elite,
Empty.
blank.
Yeah. Multiple calls blank.
Multiple calls blank. Like, for me, that is a smoking gun. It's like you're, come on, man. Like, if you're on security and you have zero brain, you just do what you're told. You know that when someone calls in, you write down on the call log, like zero brain. But the fact that it's blank, someone told that zero brain security guy or whoever's doing the call log, don't write this down. That seems like enough to research. A guy is dead. There's a guy who's dead.
So this guy was the personal chef of the Obamas for, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Meaning
long time.
they had a relationship. They knew each other. They spent time together. They knew what each other liked. They knew each other extremely well.
He knew exactly how much salt needed to go into that egg in the morning.
They knew
Come on, man.
so much about each other.
Yeah.
I think 2 days after, there are pictures and video of the Obamas, Michelle Obama playing tennis, and Barack Obama playing golf with what looked kind of like a black guy, by the way.
But he also had very clear bandages on his fingers.
Correct. So they decided 2 days after their friend dies, that was really apparently very unfortunate death, that they decided they're going to go play tennis and golf. It's almost like they're like, hey, you should go out in the public and make it look like
No big deal.
no big deal. Because otherwise, you would probably show a little bit of tact and stay home.
Yeah.
Like, don't go out there and be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
our friend died, but we're gonna go play golf. It's almost like a PR team said, if you stay home, you look guilty, go out there and show the world that you're not.
The liberal Democrat PR teams have been doing a lot of fail these days. I mean, come on. If you're going to advise Obama to go out and look normal, would you advise him to go out with new bandages on his hands and could be a shadow, tinfoil hat, but kind of look like he was bruised up a little bit in the face? And if we add the context of your tinfoil hat scenario, which is act of passion, sometimes act of passion, let's say bows get dropped, fists get thrown. So, and there was supposedly another paddleboarder out there with him, but that's blank, and we'll never know who that is.
Well, I think we can all assume, if my crazy scenario is true, that it's exactly who you think it was. Do you know who I think it is?
I don't know.
What? The other paddleboarder was obviously Barack.
I mean, that's what I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen Barack on paddle boards. Okay, all right.
Let's see if we can find the. Oh yeah, see, there. It could be a sunspot because he's getting older. Could
Be a
be,
sunspot.
but he does not look.
But
like,
look at the thing on his fingers though. Like,
But apparently he does it all the time when he calls.
does he?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I looked into that.
you did.
Apparently he does it all the time. when he calls.
Is it Snopes who told you? Dang, that is one mature looking man. Sorry. Was that? Sorry, that's Michelle.
So I saw this. Can you find the picture of them on the kayak together, Will? So apparently,
This is like Michelle's most favorite picture, right?
whenever this picture scrolls on Twitter and she sees this picture, she gets so mad that she's in a bad mood all day.
Who? Michelle?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You used the word she. I just didn't know what you were talking about.
Tin hats, everybody. Tin hats.
Okay, bring out that photo, Will. Come on, bring out the kayak picture of Barack and his homie.
Oh, there you go. There's the picture. Apparently, she absolutely hates this picture.
I heard, and this could be not true. I heard that she actually tried to scrub this from the internet.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
That she tried to get this picture deleted from the internet, and it's just out there. You can't get rid of it at this point.
You can't beat the internet.
No. And she's so upset about this picture that it just puts her in a bad mood all day.
You know,
Which I love this picture.
I love this picture too. Actually, I feel like
Should we make this our screensaver?
you know what? In the new pot.
Should we put this on the wall?
Okay, so I'm gonna bring it in.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it right now. I have a custom signed picture, original picture from this amazing artist who makes political pictures. And I don't do this usually, but I saw it and I reached out to him and I was like, I want a copy of this. And it's a copy of Barack Obama on a lion with a lightsaber.
Okay.
It's like imagine Barack Obama sitting on a lion caricature with a lightsaber. I'm gonna bring it in. It's gonna be part of the new studio.
Awesome.
I will print out this picture and frame it in something maybe an 8x11, something like this. And I'll bring that in, and we can have that be the background in the Matt Kim podcast as well. And I think it will be a lovely addition to the punigi, to the atmosphere. Yes, that's it. But mine's color. Mine's color. So I guess it wasn't a lightsaber, it was a crossbow. I have this exact same picture. It's in my office. I'll bring it in to the new podcast. This is a rendition of it because it's all magged out, I guess, here. But the version that I have is the real. It's got the nice color. It looks. Oh, he doesn't love it lightsaber. He doesn't.
There's lightsaber. That's funny.
I'm gonna bring that in. I have it signed copy, Will. So I'll bring it in. Make sure that's part of our. So here's the thing. There's popular memes out there. I love these memes because it keeps it fresh in our mind. And the meme generally goes like this: UFOs don't give a F. Where's the Epstein client list? I love those memes.
Yes.
Likewise, this is the same memeable content. UFOs, what happened to the chef?
Yeah. What happened to his compound is protected by Secret Service. There are cameras everywhere.
Absolutely.
He's a former president.
Absolutely.
It's not like just some random rich guy with no cameras.
Absolutely.
And even if it was the random rich guy in Martha's Vineyard, you have cameras.
Bro.
There is evidence crawling all over that compound of what's going on. And he just fell in 4-foot water and just drowned? Like, come on. Of all the things you can make up, you're going to tell me that the guy that obviously can swim, because we have video of him swimming.
Yeah.
You're going to say that he died in a pond because he couldn't swim. Like, that's so sloppy.
So sloppy.
So sloppy. Again, which means they had to do it quickly. They had to make the narrative up very quickly. They missed a lot. Because think about the people who came up, the PR team that came up with this guy died because he couldn't swim. They're like, well, he's black. So, let's just say he can't swim.
Yeah, but
like that was your thing?
Yeah, but there's videos of him talking about, hey, I'm a survivalist. I need to learn how to do all this stuff. And he's crushing it in the pool.
They just couldn't figure it out.
And I think it was 6'2", 6'4".
Oh, by the way, have you seen pictures and video of Trump's personal chef? Have you seen that guy? Bro, hey, Will, find the pictures of Trump's personal chef. I just recently saw him on YouTube.
He looks
video.
like Ronnie Coleman. Do you remember Ronnie Coleman, the like 11-time Olympian or whatever?
This guy is jacked.
Yes.
Holy
It
shit.
looks like he's in the movie Alien vs. Predator.
This guy.
Yeah, look at this guy. Click on it. See if we can make that bigger.
Yeah.
Okay, so peace. This guy probably can't swim, and there's
This guy is not dying in 4 feet of pond.
totally. First off, he's probably not going in the pond.
No.
Because all that muscle just sinks. So this guy probably can't swim. So that makes sense. But Obama's chef,
Well, he was in good shape
he
too,
was in
though.
great shape.
Yeah.
He was in great shape, and we have videos of him swimming, and come on, you can't die in 4 feet of water, bro.
No. Because
Bro.
there are videos of Obama on that same exact paddleboarding in that same exact pond, and the video of him is him falling to the water, standing up, and getting back on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is video of Obama on the paddleboard, falling off, and standing up and getting back on. So this guy can't.
So let's get to the base here. When are people, and maybe this will never happen, maybe it'll never happen, but when are people going to get upset?
I think it takes leadership from people that people trust and follow. For example, I was talking to Will about this yesterday. Do you remember when Dwayne the Rock
Dwayne the Rock Johnson
made a endorsement video of the Obamas?
Oh yes, no, yeah, I remember that. That was
Before that, I was a
Cringe.
huge fan.
cringe.
When I saw that moment and that video, and can we find the line for it? He said something like, Joe Biden has shown a history of leading with passion and with soul.
Yeah, Joe Biden is like a version of the Body Snatchers. He literally is an
He
android.
said,
in
I've never endorsed a candidate before, but I feel so strongly. And after the election, he came out and he said, I was so happy that I cried manly tears. Not just 1 or 2, but 10. But don't worry, my tears were manly, I think was his quote. People like that have to be like, and after that moment, he's never talked about it ever again. It's like it never happened.
Yeah.
Hey, watch my movie, look at me. Like me and Kevin Hart were so funny, haha.
Yeah.
Forget about the movie.
Yep.
The Rock says to Biden, you've led, in my opinion, with great compassion and heart and drive, but also soul.
God, you know that people just making up shit when they say stuff like that,
What
man.
kind of propagandist bullshit was this? And it made me lose respect for him a lot.
Oh yeah.
And then he went on the Liver King. Oh, I can't believe he does steroids. Obviously, The Rock is on steroids.
Bro.
But for him to take that route with the Liver King, like he's a sellout cuck. I don't know if I'd say that to him in person, but
Probably not.
I probably.
But the
wouldn't.
pattern is relatively clear.
Yeah, and I think it takes people like that who have real influence in the world to be like, look. Over the weekend, Oliver Stone came out and he said on Russell Brand's podcast, I regret voting for Joe Biden. And I know he's kind of like out there kind of a guy, but he's deep in Hollywood. He makes a lot of the movies. And for him to publicly admit wrongdoing, for him to admit that he regrets his decision, that he feels like what he did was wrong, I thought was very manly of him. I thought that was respectable. And there are not a lot of people in that situation doing that right now. We need more of that.
So what you're essentially saying is that Obama's chef, a man died here, right? Like bottom dollar, there's a man who's dead, and it is what it is. But the man who died circumnavigates one of the most influential, well-known, popular families on the planet, the Obamas. The public has a need to know what's going on. And so what you're saying is that we will never find out what's going on because we don't have people who are actively pursuing justice here.
Correct. The people who can make a difference can force people. If people like The Rock and LeBron James, these guys who have access to billions of eyes, if they're like, what the hell is going on? They would be almost be forced to start figuring out how to at least respond to it. But they say, nothing to see here, and media says, nothing to see here, and everyone's like, nothing to see here, then me and you, just regular people, are like, we want to know. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you guys are nobody, we don't care.
Yeah.
You know? It takes these type of people to step up. And I say LeBron James because he had an opportunity this last week to say something.
Yes.
And he pussied out and he did not. His son,
It's a personal thing too.
who is 18 years old, who, if you had to say, make the most perfect young man in perfect physical health, it would be his son. He is completely fit. He is like star athlete, like what you want your son to be at 18 years old.
And don't forget, his son, I read an article on this, has access to LeBron's multi-million-dollar health apparatus.
Correct.
Best dietitians, best coaches, best weight trainers, best everything. I mean, his son is literally being pampered like a D1 college athlete.
He
So
is being
don't-
pampered like Dragoff in Rocky.
Exactly. Has access to millions of dollars of ensuring that he is in peak performance.
And for him to just fall suddenly, we all know what happened. I think everyone has an understanding. LeBron knows what happened. For him to say that he has no idea is bullshit. He knows what, at least he has a theory that this is possible.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So
He was a big proponent of everyone getting jabs. He was on the paid cycle of being those guys.
he was on payroll, totally on the payroll.
He could have at least raised the question. It's his son.
So let's take the human perspective instead of the public perspective, because I actually noodled on this for at least 2 minutes.
That's a long time.
That's a long time for like. Trust me, I don't give a shit.
That's
about
a noodle.
I don't give a shit about LeBron James.
Yeah.
I think he's a terrible human being. I think he's promoting the wrong message. Did you recently hear about the multi-million dollars of public taxpayer funded money into his schools?
Yes.
None of those kids ever pass any math. Like, did you see that shit?
I have that up.
That-
Zero eighth graders have passed math. Zero eighth graders have passed the state math test in 3 years at his charter school.
And that's publicly funded. That's
Correct.
taxpayer. That's
Correct.
taxpayer money going into this snafu of this educational bullshit school that he's put together.
And it's not talking about the murders that also happened there last year.
I was about to bring that up. And there's been, yes. So I don't know LeBron personally. I just feel, I've seen enough where he is supporting the wrong things. Okay. So let's take this from the human perspective. If you were LeBron, because you're a dad, I'm a dad, what type of dissonance do you think he's going through? What type of personal conflict and mental gymnastics do you think he's going through? Because he's been paid a lot of money on more payrolls than you and I will ever know of. And he's getting all this money in, but yet now he has his son, which you love your daughter, I love my daughter, I love my son. Like, I think you can kind of put yourself in that seat for a second. What do you think he's thinking about? What do you think type of conflict he's dealing with? Because he's got all this money coming in from all these people who say you can't say shit. But at the same time, his flesh and blood is on the line now. So what, like, let's take a human perspective. What do you think he's thinking about?
I mean, he's made enough money. He had an opportunity to basically right his wrongs. And if he did, I would have had huge respect for him, for him to take that stance. What he's going through personally, I don't know. Do these people who completely sell out, like a LeBron, like a Rock, do these people even have a soul left to care?
Ooh.
Or are they so lost that all they can think of is we just gotta keep on perpetuating? They're so far deep that they refuse to show any crack in their belief, because if they do, they're so concerned that the whole thing comes crashing down.
Do you think his handlers immediately went to him and said, LeBron, we understand the circumstances. We understand this is a stressful moment, but you ain't going to say shit.
Oh yeah, I think at that very moment, probably while he's trying to figure out how he can see his kid, there was probably a team of lawyers, publicists, media. The full team showed up and they said, no, you tell him, you tell him, you tell him. And they decided, okay, you're the one that's going to talk to him. And you talk to him. It's not listening. All right, your turn. They probably did a board meeting. Who knows how big it was. But the whole LeBron apparatus started moving that moment.
Yeah.
Because God forbid he says something out of line. And fortunately for them, he's a company man.
I can see a scenario. So there's just multiple scenarios in which I can see this from, but here's one scenario. One scenario is I would hope that because he's so famous, because he's got so much money and he's got so much influence and power, and let's be honest, that power and influence is most evident in him flopping. Have you seen the supercuts of him flopping? Like when you've reached a level of greatness where you no longer actually have to care or try, and you're so used to being in the limelight that when you start losing it, you start flopping so you can get extra screen time. Like here's my point. He's at that level where he's now acting on the court. He's no longer playing. He's actually acting because he's flopping and doing all these antics on the court. I would think that in some weird scenario, that at that level, he's like, you know what? I got all the money and power. I got everything I need. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm going to let everybody know that I'm upset. This happened to me and my son. My family's affected. Guys, this is what I think. That would be an amazing scenario to happen. There's other scenarios in which his handlers literally went to him and said, through his tears, and he's trying to be like, well, I'm so frustrated, man. My kid's dying, and I kind of feel like I could see the other scenario where their handlers went right to him and said, LeBron, you're going to shut the fuck up.
Or is it worse? And they said, if you talk, we will take it all away.
Ooh.
And you will go back to nothing.
Yeah, like a Kanye.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember Kanye, when he had his moment, he disappeared from the limelight for like 30, 60, 90 days or whatever and came back.
We will erase you. And if you want to protect your legacy,
maybe like a Kobe.
Because we have things that we know about you. We have evidence. We have history. We have all these things that you did. And
we have the blood sacrifices that you made.
And we will put it out there. And you will be forever. You will ruin your legacy. You will ruin your family's legacy. And if you care at all about your future generation, you will shut the fuck up.
Here's a long-tailed scenario. Could be that he ends up shutting up. He ends up towing the line, and his son, who now hope not, but here's a permutation of a reality. His son is no longer able to play basketball. He's too injured. His son gets salty. His son's like, my dad fucked me over. The world fucked me over. I'm going to let the world know. I think that would be kind of cool to see, is his son getting a conscience and being like, my career is messed up. My father is a cuck and he didn't say anything about it. I can't play anymore. I'm going to make a YouTube video. I'm going to make a TikTok and let the world know that I was vax injured or something like that. I mean, that would be pretty juicy.
I think a couple months ago, we talked about the Korean kid who his grandfather was president of Korea, murdered a bunch of people, and he went on a live stream and started calling out his family, calling out his uncles for all the shady black money that they found all over the place where they're hiding it. He was calling out
all the backdoor dealings,
all the friends of all the super rich people that were doing drugs in America. He called out everybody. Do you know what happened to him?
Yeah, he disappeared.
No. He went back to Korea.
Oh, yeah.
He went back to Korea and he went on an apology tour.
That's right.
They get you.
But then he disappeared. He basically, didn't he kind of fall out of the limelight after that?
They took him out of the limelight.
Yeah.
He was hugging the families of his grandfather's victims. He apologized
Vaguely
to everyone.
remember this now. Yeah.
He said he was wrong. He said he's going to go into drug rehabilitation. And he went right back into the machine because they're that powerful. I don't know how. I don't know what they said to him, but they reeled him in, and they reeled him in fast.
Man,
he stepped out of line for 48 hours, and they got him back immediately.
It's almost impossible to imagine the amount of pressure that some of these bigwigs have on essentially our dancing puppets that we like to watch on TV, right? I mean, they really are dancing puppets. And they have handlers, they have masters, they have contracts, they have things that they've signed in blood that we'll never know about. And the amount of pressure, man, it's almost like you don't want to be famous in today's world, because the way to become famous is you have to be part of the machine. What do you think?
If you are famous and you haven't even listening and you're like, fuck the bullshit, I want to tell the world, Matt Kim Podcast, this is where you do it.
In the new studio coming up, guys, in the future.
More than welcome to come by. We'll give you the platform. Throw it out on the streets.
We'll let everybody know, especially if you have news that the world could use.
Correct. So we will try to focus on interesting new topics, bring in different people. I'm super excited about where we're going. I'm super excited about the new studio. I'm most excited to show everybody.
Yeah, I have to keep a tight lip because I like to show off pictures and stuff. But if you want to get a sneak peek, you might want to check out Discord and Free Thinkers podcast. You can go to freethinkermovement.com.
Correct. freethinkermovement.com. Hit up that mailing list. We're going to be releasing the t-shirts soon.
Ooh.
Other than that, have a good rest of your week. Thank you, everybody.
Don't go paddleboarding.
Don't go paddleboarding.
Not with the Obama. Dude, not with the Obama.
No way. Good job.
Appreciate it.
Good stuff.